Hello to everyone and welcome back to the Python course. In this video, we're going to cover up one of the control flow statements in Python, which is selection control flow. I just wanted to give you guys a big picture to see what are the control flow statements in Python. And in total, we have 3 of them, which is sequential control flow, which you control the flow line by line. Next, we have selection control flow, which includes if else, nested if, and finally if elif else, which we're going to cover up this control flow completely in this video. And lastly, we have loop control flow, which we have for loop and while loop, which we're going to cover up in the future videos. As another example, I just wanted to give you guys a schema of conditional statements in Python, which we have if statement, if else statement, and finally if elif else statement, which includes 3 of the conditional statements. On the left side, we can see if a statement, and if the condition is true, the code is going to be executed. And if it is false, the next line is going to be executed. Next, we have if else statement. If the condition is true, we've got the code to execute. And if condition is true, next line of the code is going to be executed. And if the condition is false, the code to execute, if condition, it is false. And lastly, we have if elif else statement. And here we've got 2 conditions you can see. If the first condition, it is false, it's just gonna go through the second condition. And if the second condition it is false too, it's just gonna go to the if else condition 2, it is false. And the next line of the code is gonna be executed. And if the condition 1 it is true, the condition 1 is just going to be executed. And if the condition 1 it is false, but the condition 2 it is true, the condition 2 is just going to be executed. So this was every schema you need to know about conditional statements in Python. Let's go through the codes. Here I have some samples for you guys to cover up all of the conditional statements in Python, which we're going to cover up if, elif, and else. So let's go for the first one, which it is if. If executes a block of code in the condition which it is true. I brought a sample for you guys so you can see what is going on in the if statement. I've defined a variable called x and the value of x it is 10. And I've defined the conditional flow statement. As you guys can see, I say if. So I'm using if a statement, which is a Python keyword. The x is greater than 5. I mean the value of my variable called x is greater than 5, which I have defined it 10. Just print the x is greater than 5. I'm just gonna run this cell, and here we can see that x is greater than 5. What does this response mean? As this statement and condition it passes and it gets okay, we can see the print print of this function or the output of this function. I'm just gonna copy this code and I'm just gonna paste it, and I'm just gonna define or give the value of x to 4. And this time the value of x is not greater than 5. I'm just gonna run it, and here we can see nothing it is printed for me. So in this situation, that's my if statement, it works, I just get an output or response. But in this situation, which the control flow statement isn't working, I get nothing as the output. But the code, it is correct, it is working, but it has no output. So by using if statement, I just define a statement to working my codes. Next, we've got elif statement. Elif statement is used to check multiple conditions. And if the first condition is false, Python checks the next condition with elif. Let's give it an example. In this code, I've just brought an example for you guys. And again, I have defined the value of variable x to 10. And I have a flow of controlling my statement. I just say if the x, or if the value of x is greater than 20, just print x is greater than 20. And for using the if, elif, and else statements, we just use a set of dots. So we just define them, and there are 4 spaces here. As you guys can see, the format of the if, elif, and every conditional space, it has 4 blocks of blank space behind the next execution that is gonna be accepted by the statement. So I just say if the x is greater than 20, just print x is greater than 20. And this is the total structure. And this time, while I'm using the elif statement, I'm adding another statement or another conditional statement. I'm just gonna say elif, or I mean else if. Elif is a mix of else and if. Elif x, or the value of x is greater than 5, just print x is greater than 5 but less than or equal to 20. So I could get 2 possible outputs, but only I get one of them. And this is the total and kind of like general statement structure that we're just going to create in our codes in Python language. It is so similar to the human language. As I just read the codes, you can see that how easy and how essential the Python codes are. I'm just gonna execute this cell, and here you can see that the output, it is the second one. So x is greater than 5 but less than or equal to 20. So number 10 is not greater than 20. So the first statement is gonna be passed. And as the first statement is gonna be passed, we're gonna go through the next statement by using elif statement. I just say if the x is greater than 5, which 10 is greater than 5, just print me this output. So I have defined the number between 5 and 20, and I get this. So this is the total format of how this code is working. Let me just copy this cell and paste it here to give it another example. This time, I'm just gonna define my number like 23. So let's go for the code execution to see what is going on here. We get the first output. As you guys can see, my number or my variable, which it is working a role in this control flow statement, is just gonna go through the first statement, which it is if x is greater than 20. Number 23 is greater than 20. So the first output or the first response is just gonna be shown for me and executed. And it's just gonna pass the second one statement because it gets its answer at the first statement. And if my value was smaller than 5, there's just gonna be another statement which we are gonna cover it in else statement. Else statement allows you to run a block of code if none of the previous conditions are true. Let's give it an example to get deep into the else statement, the structure. I've just brought a sample for you guys. I've defined my number 3. So the first condition is this. If x is greater than 10, print me this. Another statement defining elif x is greater than 5, print me this. And else it means anything out of these 2 first situations. I mean, the number is not gonna be greater than 10, and the number is not gonna be between 5 and 10, and I mean every number that is less than 5, I mean every number from -infinity to number 5. Just print that x is 5 or less. And this is a true and exact working piece of code. Let's just run it. Here you can see that we get the third output. Let's see how this code works. First of all, it starts from the first of the control flow statement. It goes through the if x is greater than 10. So it checks the first statement. At first, it checks these 2 pieces of codes. 3 is not greater than 10, so it passes this. it goes through the next one. If 3 is greater than 5 and less than 10. So it goes through this, and this is not actually working. And it goes through the last piece of conditional statement, else. So this third one is just gonna through the last, which it is else. And it's just gonna print the response of the third conditional statement control flow. I'm just gonna paste this, and I'm just gonna give it another number, just like number 12. Let's run it. Number 12, it goes to the first control flow statement, and it passes all of the 2's. And the condition, it gets passed. Why? Because the number is greater than 10, which we have 12 number. So the response is gonna be this, x is greater than 10. Let's give it another example, and I'm just gonna paste it, and this time I'm just gonna go for the value of 7. Let's run it. Let's see what is going on. First of all, it goes to the if situation. The number, the 7 is not greater than 10, so it passes this. Next, it goes to the second condition. If the number is greater than 5, 7 is greater than 5 or less than 10. So it passes the else statement. And the output is just gonna be the second response. So this is actually how we can get all of the different outputs from different conditional statements. Let's combine the if, elif, and else in another sample. So we can combine all of the 3 statements to check for different conditions and execute corresponding blocks of codes. This is a full example of using all of the samples that I have just brought for you guys. So this time I have 1 if, 2 elif, and lastly 1 else. This is the total structure of combining every situation of if, elif, and else piece of codes that you just want to have. You just want to define multiple and kind of like several conditional statements, and you make so many control flow in your codes. I've defined the number 15, and I said if my number is less than 0, the number is negative, just print the number is negative. And elif, the number equals to 0, it says that the number, the response, it says that the number is 0. And elif, the number is greater than 0, and the number is less than or equal to 10. So here you guys, pay attention. When we are defining a conditional statement in an elif, we can use operators like this, like and, or, the other logical operators. So here I have 2 conditions in only one condition. So this is conditioning condition workflow. And here I have 2 conditions in one elif situation. I say that if the number is greater than 0 and is less than or equal to 10, just print the number is positive and less than 10. And else it means every number which it is not negative, which it is not 0, and which is greater than 10 and is a positive number. So this equals a range of numbers from 0 up to plus infinity. Let's check out this piece of code. Here we can see that the number is greater than 10. We get the else output. Let me copy this and just go through other situations. And as the first example, it goes through this. 15 is not greater than 0, is not less than 0, so it passes this. Is not equal to 0, it passes this. It is greater than 0, but it is not less than 10. So it goes through the else control flow statement. Let's give it another example. I'm just gonna go for number 7. I'm just gonna run it. Is not less than 0, it passes this. Is not equal to 0, it passes this. Is greater than 0, and it is less than 10. So it prints the response of this elif control flow statement. Let's give it another example. For example, we're just gonna go for the 0. First of all, it checks the first statement. It is less than 0, so 0 is not less than 0. It passes this piece of code. It goes for the second one. If number or 0 equals to 0, yes, 0 equals to 0, it passes these next two pieces of code and it responds the second output of this control flow statement. And lastly, let me just paste this and go for -20. I'm just gonna run it, and -20 is less than 0. First response of the control flow statement, and it passes all of these situations, and we're just gonna get the number is negative. So in conclusion, conditional statements like if, Elif, and else allow you to control the flow of your program by executing different code based on specific conditions. Understanding how to use these statements effectively, it is crucial for writing logical and functional programs. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe my channel, and leave me a comment. Don't forget to follow the full course, my other videos in my YouTube channel, and share with your friends. I wish you guys the greatest time. Stay high.